Everybody, welcome. Thanks for coming. Open up for questions.
PJ, how did you come out of the game as far as you can see physically? Is any injuries that may prevent anybody from playing Saturday at Bloomington?
No, it was a very physical game on both sides of the ball, but we came out pretty healthy.
PJ, when you look at the passing game, what sort of things are you looking to address there?
Well, I think just being able to, we had 3 or 4 drops that I think you wouldn't have asked that question if we caught 3 balls. I think that, and maybe you would have, but, we're going to do everything we can to win a football game, and we've got to be able to execute. And, what makes really good receivers are the catch radius. Balls are not going to be perfect all the time, but we've got to be able to catch the balls they throw us defensively and offensively. We dropped 2 interceptions as well. So, again, we had a lot of opportunities in that game to win the football game. And in a game like that, you've got to be able to take every opportunity you get. Nobody's going to be perfect. But when we look at it, for the year, we haven't had a ton of passing because it's been a revolving door of wide receivers. And, again, as a head coach, you're going to do what you have to do to win the football game. And we won 4 straight by keeping it on the ground. And then one game we had to throw it, felt like we had to throw it a lot. And that was, I think, against Nebraska. And Crab had 11 catches and had a really good game. And Michael Brown-Stevens had a touchdown, things like that. But we just have to be able to execute the plays that are called. And some of the plays in that game we weren't able to do that with.
How key was the offensive line's ability to generate movement, especially early on in the game?
Yeah, I thought our offensive line responded really well from the week before. Like I said, I didn't think we played our best game against Illinois up front, with all due respect. But I thought that they came back and responded like how our offensive lines played all year. And we've relied heavily on them because, again, some people think, when you're talking about your best players, we always give it to the quarterback or the running backs or skill positions, wide receivers. But some of our best players are up front, and I thought they really responded well.
When you look at the last 3 losses, the lack of explosive plays has kind of shown up. How do you try to fix that here in the final 2 weeks?
Well, we've had some opportunities for some explosive plays, whether we didn't throw it, whether we got sacked, we did hit one. That kind of came down to it when you look at it, and the way we keep track of explosive plays, it was really a 4-4 battle on both sides, and they came down to a 1-possession game, and we weren't able to win the football game. But again, it's finding those opportunities to be able to call them, hit them, and complete them. You don't complete it, it's 2nd and 10. In games where it's going to be short possession, especially the last 2 games for us, you've got to be able to hit them when you call them. And we haven't. We did that a little bit. Crabs was really big. In the second half, but we had some other ones that I thought were well drawn up. We just didn't execute it.
PJ, you said Saturday that's the best you've seen your team play at Iowa. I think. What's left in closing that gap, kind of with the?
Well, it's consistency. We talk about, and here I'll give you what we talk about. All right, 2 explosive plays on defense for Iowa. They score a touchdown. Right, the third down, the 2 third down runs that are long, they get a first down. Right, or set up as 4th and 1 or 4th and short. Right, the screen, we miss a tackle on the screen. Right, we drop 2 interceptions and the 4th and 1 sneak. Those are huge plays on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball. We had some missed throws. We had some drops, too many field goals instead of touchdowns. But you're still going to gain points. We go all hindsight and go back and say, well, if you. But if we didn't get some of those 4th downs and went for it, we wouldn't have had any points to be in it. And all we were down a field goal in the 4th quarter, wouldn't have been able to execute and have that opportunity. Get a field goal blocked, and then we have a sky punt that we get a penalty on. It wasn't a very good punt as well. So it's closing the gap. I talked to our team afterwards because you're constantly finding a way to be able to create a positive narrative, right? Especially for young people. Hold them to a high standard, right? And make sure that the standard will never come down. But when you look at it, there's only 2 teams that have scored more points against Iowa than we did on Saturday. There's only one other team that had more yards against Iowa. We're talking about a top 10 defense. And, we come out with 22 points. I thought we gave our team, as a team, the best chance to win. And in the 4th quarter, we just weren't able to do that. So it comes down to a lot of things, Dave. It's the ability to score points, touchdowns instead of field goals, and find a way to be able to close the gap in recruiting and everything else. So, if there was one answer, I mean, we'd do it and then close the gap. But I think that everybody's starting to see, for us, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller for us internally. And we want to be able to continue to do that, closing the gap. And, I thought that was the best we've played against Iowa. And, again, you want to play your best game every single week. But I thought that was the best we played, especially in that environment, and gave ourselves the best chance to win. And we just made again, too many mistakes. They had mistakes too, because if it would have went the other way, they'd be talking about the mistakes they made too. But you got to give them a lot of credit. They're a very, very well coached team, and they're very good at what they do. And found a way to win.
How do you get Tanner moving back in the right direction this weekend?
Well, he responds really well. That's the thing that makes Tanner very unique, is he has the ability to respond and, squeeze all the juice from the orange, flush it, move on, and do really well with that type of mindset. He always has his entire life. It was not just Tanner, it was everybody. There were times we dropped too many balls, and we can't do that. We can't afford to drop balls and get into a rhythm. As the small amount of throws we had in that game, you have to be efficient, and you can't be behind the chains. And when you do throw it and you don't catch the football, and put you in a really tough position. There was a big third down. We're up 13-10, and there's a third down that's could the ball have been placed a little bit differently? Sure, but that's a ball that we've got to be able to catch and bring down. And there's towards the end of the game, we're driving, from our own zone, and there's a third and long that's a first down if we just catch it, and it's within our catch radius, and we don't bring it down. And then there's a few others that could have been caught. Their defense is really good. The holes are really small, right? And when you get that ball through the hole, it's going to be really, really small. And you got to be able to make those plays to keep the chains moving. But like I said, when you look at it, they're only giving up 16 points a game. They're only averaging 314 yards per game. It's one of the best defenses in the country. This was the number 2 team in the country a few weeks ago. And again, there are no moral victories whatsoever. We're in the Big Ten races. Everyone else is in the Big Ten West race. And, we just didn't make enough plays to win that football game. And our players knew it. They were disappointed, but had a heck of a day yesterday. So I don't expect anything less when they come in here and take every game as its individual entity and go out and have a better game this week.
Can you do some things, Coach, with your staff and yourself to a little differently maybe in practice this week to try to get more of that consistency with the receiver unit, catching those balls and kind of getting away from those drops? You know so much about football overall, obviously, but initially receiver background, just wondering if you go with extra drills or try some things you haven't done before?
Well, we have a certain plan that we do, and I can't say that hasn't changed. You're always finding new ways to evolve. Every receiver is different than the receivers before. Everyone's their own person, learns a different way, and gets better at a different level. So they're constantly doing those types of things with ball drills and different ball drills. But again, it's being able to make that play. The routes on air and the amount of times we spend with our receivers and the way they work. You don't get a chance to see them, but after practice, they're out there by themselves for a long time working on what they need to work on. And one of it's taking ownership and then being able to go apply it and finding the ways creatively to get yourself beyond that roadblock of whatever that is. But we've also made some really difficult catches as well. So it's just unfortunate that we've had some drops here that have cost us. But we keep working on it.
What's gone into not seeing a whole lot of dealing, right?
Well, again, guys earn their playing time, period.
What's your early impressions of Indiana?
Only spent some, so many hours on them right now, but this is a team that we talked to our team yesterday. Coach Allen, first of all, is a wonderful football coach, incredible man. I have a lot of respect for what he does and how he runs his program, but we're treating them as an 8-2 football team, not 2-8. And they've lost 6 games that are from top 20 teams, and 4 of those teams at a particular time are ranked in the top 10. So you're talking 6 ranked teams they've lost against, and they've played a lot of people really tough. And this last game, they turned the ball over 6 times. That's not going to happen again. You turn the ball over 6 times, doesn't matter who you are. You're not going to win many games. They're a very good football team that's played a lot of really good football teams. that, again, we're treating them as an 8-2 football team. And that was our whole talk yesterday about Indiana as we started our preparation for them. Went back to some things they did last year. And, again, mindset-wise, we want to be 1-0 in the Indiana season. But this is an 8-2 football team that we're playing that we've told our football team exactly what I just told you. So they play some really good football teams.
It seemed like the timing was off in the passing game a little bit throughout. What do you think you have to do to get that going?
What do you mean the timing was off?
Timing on some of the routes.
I don't know if I see that on film. I thought the 3rd and 7 that we don't get, it's right on the. I mean, that's a perfectly thrown ball in terms of when it should have been delivered. It's not caught, but it's a perfectly delivered ball. I think the one that the Crab catches down the sideline, that's a really good delivered ball on time. I think there were a few times where they did a really good job of there's a few double moves that we had that. The double move created some type of collision, and then we were able to get away from the collision, and Tanner already moved on to the next read. But I thought the timing was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was bad from when we evaluated the film of what we expect. Now, was the execution of the play from start to finish where it needed to be? Now.
For some of these younger receivers, how do you improve the contested catch situations? Is it positioning? Is it just more time in the weight room in the off season, or what do you think?
It's a combination of all of it. It's we've got a lot of young players that haven't played a lot of football out there. Now we have some players that have played football out there that need to be able to make some of the plays that they can make and have, right. But I think it's one weight room. It's the strength and conditioning program of getting those guys through the program here and there, and continue to build that strength. And then it's the confidence part. Being able to make those plays when it calls upon you making them, and that all comes with time, and they'll eventually make them, and we'll keep going back to them, and we'll keep going back to them, and we'll keep going back to them. But I thought our tight ends have helped be able to bridge that gap too. I think the tight ends are playing pretty well. I said at the beginning, with kind of the beginning of the year of our wideouts, kind of a rotating door, and they've never really gotten into a flow. They've played, then they've been out. They played, then been out. They're in, they're out. They're in, they're out. That does a lot for a passing game, and does a lot for the confidence of the passing game. And then with the running back situation, you got 2 freshman tailbacks back there, and they're doing a really good job. I think everybody would probably agree with that, but they're still freshmen. I mean, the 3rd and 2 going in there before the end of the half, it's a good call. It's 3rd and 2, it's 40 seconds left. You get the first down. You keep your timeout, you clock it, or you call your timeout after that, and you get 3 shots at the end zone plus a field goal. I'm not sure what people ask me about the spot afterwards. I mean, it's so bang bang, and you're not sitting there saying, "Well, give me some time to look at the spot." You don't know. Ball spot, it's all the way down on that end. You don't have a good view of it. If I would have known what I know now, probably would have asked for a review. But then you have one timeout, you lose that. You lose the timeout. And now we got, a different issue on our hands. But, the 3rd and 2, we don't want them to get the ball back, So you run the football, and we just come up a yard short, kick the field goal, go up 13-10, and have the lead at halftime. And, I thought we did everything we could to give our team the best chance to win in a lot of situations. And, 4th and 2, throwing the ball for a 40-yard touchdown, I wouldn't consider that conservative at all.
BJ, I know during the season you don't take any big picture looks, but the Big Ten is just about as top-heavy as you've seen it, just the strength of the top of the league this year.
I would say yes. I think first of all, I think the parity across the league is incredible. I think when you look at the Big Ten in general, across the board, look at every week. I'm not sure how many upsets there really are. It just keeps going back and forth, incredibly close games. I think when you kind of look at Ohio State where they are, I think they've set themselves apart from everyone else. I think that's pretty easy to see. But when you look at everyone else that's kind of in that mix, anybody can beat anyone on any given Saturday by what's been proven up to this point about the data that's been out there. I even think back when you see our football team against a really good Ohio State football team, I think everybody knew at the beginning of the year what we could become. And again, it's not what everybody, maybe wins, losses thought we could become, but just like we told our football team, I mean, 8 games in, we're bowl eligible, right? I mean, and this isn't the end all be all to be a bowl eligible, but there's still accomplishments within a season, and we were right in it. We lost 2 one-possession games. We're 3-3 in one-possession games. And we showed them how 2019 turned out to be 2019 in those one-possession games this week. Well, we tell them why we talk about 78% and why that matters in one-possession games. Same thing with this game. I mean, if you win the last 2, I mean, it's a completely different story. You're 8-2 and ranked, but it's that close. The margin for error is that close. And when you're in the Big Ten, and to your question, the parity across the board, I mean, anyone can beat anyone on any given Saturday. And so every point matters, every possession matters. And, we didn't turn the ball over at all. And to your question after the game, we didn't turn the ball over at all, and they turned it over once. But when you look at the tackling, we didn't win the tackling battle, and the explosive play battle we tied. So when you dissected it at the end, you could see why it was kind of a toss-up. We weren't guaranteed to win the game based on the numbers of what we actually study, but we had every chance to win the game. And again, we catch a few more balls, we have an opportunity to do that. But you got to give them credit. They had some things that happened on their side that they're probably saying, if we just would have done this, it would have been a different game. But that's what rivalry games are all about. And to your question, we're doing everything we can to close that gap through recruiting, through finishing games, through showing exactly why things happen. But I thought they had an incredible week of practice and preparation. And that was a heck of an environment. And I thought our poise showed and our experience showed. Somebody had to win the game, somebody had to lose the game. And unfortunately, in that one game, we weren't able to come out on top.
Take 2 more.
For Justin Wally to get a turnover, being on a double move, but still kind of respond, what have you seen from him as a young kid?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the movie Top Gun. Remember that one? And what do you do with Maverick? You get him back in the air. I mean, you put him back in the air, get him flying. You put him right back out there. I mean, Justin Wally is going to be a phenomenal football player. He already is. So you get beat deep. Hey, it happens. Now, we don't want it to happen all the time, but you're going to have to get beat to know what it's like to get beat, to respond to that in a game like that. He also had, a forced fumble. He gave us the ability to score points. He has a chance to have an interception, right? And if he's in a perfect position, he does everything right except catch the ball. But now he's going to learn from that. He goes down on punt. Right, he runs into the punt returner, but he gets blocked in the punt returner, but it's still his fault. Right, so now he knows even if you're blocked on it, it's still your fault, which you coach and you educate. But until you do it, and then the double move one. I mean, the other one's just a heck of a catch by 16. He makes a heck of a play, and it was a great throw, great call, great catch. And that's going to happen, right? But the double move now, but I'll put him right back out there. I have all the faith in the world in Justin Wally. For a true freshman to do what he's done this year says a lot about him. And we have a lot of really, really, really good young players in this program. And I know you guys don't get a chance to kind of see a lot of them with all, the COVID stuff. But once you start getting back to spring, I hope that, when you're coming around, you see a lot of these young players, and they're very talented. He's one of them.
Well, watching film, you really zone in on Keefe's effort. How much has he changed the rushing scheme for you guys?
Well, I think 2 of his best games, and Marcus Hendrickson, our director of player personnel, would agree, is probably Ohio State in this game. And those are, when you're talking about really good players that you're playing against, I mean, he's just when you go back when I first got here and Keefe, you're kind of looking at him, and you're like, what is he going to be able to do, right? And he's going to play tight end, but you're like, will he be big enough? Will he be strong enough? He's going to be able to do what we do in the run game. And when you watch his evolution of being a player. And not only just being a blocker, but being a football player. I mean, he's helped us in the pass game an awful lot. He's so smart, so intelligent. He should be on an NFL football team at some point. He has the ability to do that, because to put your hand in the dirt and block the way he blocks and be able to help you in the pass game on some short stuff and some nakeds and some boots and things like that, he's going to be able to do that for people. But he's incredibly smart. He's tough, loves the game of football, loves his teammates, selfless player, locker room guy. He's what football's all about, let alone the University of Minnesota. He was able to develop within the program and develop, as we talk about, we're a developmental program. He's a prime example of that. When you first get somebody, and we didn't recruit Co. But when you get him in there, you're like, all right, what is he going to be able to do, and where's his ceiling? But to be able to watch him grow and watch him really embrace the weight room, embrace all the things and aspects of the program, and turn out to be who he is, it's a really feather in his cap, and he deserves a lot of credit for that because he's one of the toughest football players we've ever coached, mentally, physically, emotionally, and we know he wanted that game. Everybody knew he wanted that game, and but I told him eventually when we do get it, they all get to spend a day with the pig. Whenever we get that thing, they all get to rent it out for the day. Kind of like the Stanley Cup where they pass it around. I mean, we're going to have to find a way to do that because these guys deserve that. But just because you deserve it doesn't mean you're going to get it. And one day we're going to earn it. And Iowa makes you earn everything you get. And our rivals make you earn everything that you get. And we wouldn't want it any other way but to earn it. And we did everything to earn it but win the game. And, and that has to sit with you for a year. And we'll give it another shot next year.
All right, thank you guys, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it, Brother Boats guy. Go Gophers. Thanks.